Welcome. My name is Eric Caldwell. I'm the president and CEO of the Amerind. Thank you so much for joining us today for a talk with artist Randy Kemp about his artwork and his art history. Randy is a really great friend to the Amerind. He has been exhibiting here. He has taught printmaking for Amerind. He has shared storytelling and musical performances here several times. He and his daughter Rykelle, who's also a great artist, have joined us at Autumn Fest on numerous occasions. And we're honored to be able to welcome back him with us today. Before I turn the program over to Randy, we want to acknowledge that Amerind is located in southern Arizona, on lands where O'odham, Yaqui, Apache, Hopi, and Oshawa families lived for untold generations, and whose wisdom and traditions live on today in vibrant communities. We are grateful for all that these communities, rich in history, have to teach us. Amerind's mission is to foster and promote knowledge and understanding for the Native peoples of the Americas through research, education, conservation, and community engagement. Our museum exhibits, workshops, and online programs just like this one help us fulfill our educational and community engagement mission. And for the last 6 years or so, the person in charge of our public programs and our community engagement has been Annie Larkin, who started as our program manager, advanced to being our director of community engagement, and ended up being promoted to the vice presidency of the Amerind. She's been an indispensable leader and friend to all of us in our community and on our staff. And she has been called to a new chapter in her life, and we are very thrilled for her and very excited for her. Annie has been selected to be the executive director of the Bisbee Council on the Arts and Humanities, which oversees, among other things, the Bisbee Mining and Historical Museum in Bisbee, Arizona. Annie and I are going to have a longer conversation that you can catch in our weekly e-blast that'll be coming out in a couple weeks. But for now, Annie, on behalf of all of us at Amerind, we're sad to see you go, but thrilled to see you take up such a wonderful leadership role in Bisbee. Thank you so much for being here and being with our audience. Is there anything you'd like to share with us this morning?
Oh, thank you, Eric. Yes, it has been an honor to work with the artists, scholars, and of course, my colleagues at Amerind over the past over 6.5 years. But it is bittersweet, but it is not goodbye. It's just see you later, as I'll still be a member of the Amerind community as a museum visitor and program participant, just as a visitor and participant, not as an employee. But thanks to all of you, and especially our audience, for the incredible support they have given our programs over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, if you have not had a chance or haven't been there recently to visit the Bisbee Mining and Historical Museum, I would encourage all of you to go visit. It's a fascinating, wonderful, interesting place. Annie's family has deep roots in the Bisbee community, going back over 4 generations, so her history is intimately tied into that community. I would encourage you to go and see it. And we are just thrilled to introduce you today to our new Public Programs and Relations Manager, Maggie Onosorgan. Maggie's family also has deep roots here in southern Arizona. She's living on a family ranch that has been occupied for several generations of her family, dating back to the 1870s. She attended high school in Tempe, Arizona, and received a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Arizona State University. She went on to work for Gallery 10 in Scottsdale and with also the Gallery 10 location in Santa Fe, where she ended up being the lead manager of that facility. After working at Gallery 10 in Santa Fe as their director for 6 years, she then went on to become the gallery manager and museum store manager at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, their contemporary art museum. After a long career there, she then went on to join the Santa Fe Business Incubator, where she worked for 9 years, helping businesses in the Santa Fe community network with each other, learn, grow, and develop. She's a tremendously well-connected and invested in the Native American arts community. She has deep roots here, and we're so happy that she's come to Southern Arizona and that we can draw on her talents and skills. Maggie, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience?
I just want to thank you for welcoming me, and very excited to be here, and really look forward to seeing everybody on future events and staying in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. And as with Annie, I'm going to be doing a more extensive interview with Maggie so you can get to know her a little bit better. And that video will be announced later on in our weekly e-series. And now it's my great pleasure to welcome artist, storyteller, flute player Randy Kemp. Randy Kemp has a current exhibition at Amerind entitled Transformation, Spirituality, and Humor. The exhibit is a retrospective on his work, and as a multimedia artist, it includes paintings, mixed media, found objects, and printmaking. And it will be on exhibit here at Amerind through May 2023. Randy Kemp is an alumnus of the Katherine K. Herberger College of Arts at Arizona State University. Before coming to ASU, Kemp earned an Associate of Arts degree from the Bacone Junior College. Kemp is a noted artist in the contemporary American Indian art world. He is a multidisciplinary artist whose body of work includes painting, printmaking, mixed media, installation, music, and performance. His work includes both traditional tribal life and contemporary works concerning Native American issues, themes, and views. In the realm of music, he was selected to perform the prelude music for President Barack Obama at the Arizona State University's graduation ceremony and commencement. He is also involved in a recording project right now with his daughter, Rykelle Kemp, entitled Artificial Red. And that particular project has been the nominee of the Native American Music Award for the Best Spoken Word category. And Kemp's latest project includes a project that blends native flute and Spanish guitar. As always, for you joining us today, if you'd like to ask questions of Randy, please use the question and answer chat box that you'll find on your screen. Type your questions into them, and I will be sharing those questions with Randy towards the end of his presentation. Randy, thank you so much for all that you do and all that you have done for Amerind. Thank you for being with us today, and we're delighted to learn more about your work.
Thank you, Eric, and I thank you for everyone for being here and allow me to be a part of this online presentation. Well, my name is Randy Kemp. I'm Choctaw of Oklahoma and Muscogee Nation of Oklahoma, Euchee tribe of Oklahoma from the Polecat Ceremonial Grounds. I live here in Mesa, Arizona with my family, my wife Beverly, my daughter Rykelle, and my son Raven. Again, I'm also a multimedia artist. I have ventured into theater, open stage acting, recording artist, film, painter, printmaker, and storyteller, if that's not enough things to do, I guess. And thank you again to the Amerind Museum, to our hosts, Eric and Annie and Maggie. Thank you all for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of the Amerind in such a way. So I think I'll start in the area of music, past works and today's projects. My instrument of choice is the wooden flute. I'm self-taught, so I don't know how to read or write music, and I've been playing for about 30 years. And a lot of practice and more practicing. So I have an image here of some of my flutes that I use. I've started, let's see, this is just a barrage of different flutes and so on that I have here. These are all different types of woods, different keys. I have mahogany wood, pitted cherry wood, aromatic cedar, and just a collection of different types of flutes. I probably have over 30 different flutes, and each of those flutes present a different sound, a different mood, and so on. But I don't make my flutes myself. I support the flute makers that have the knowledge and the skill to do these. And I buy from my indigenous brothers and flute makers and so on. But I also have performance flutes or concert flutes that I use when I'm playing with other musicians in different instruments that they have. So it's always a challenge because, like I said, I don't read or write music, and it's all sort of my playing by ear, and I've done good so far, but again, it's a continuous practicing and understanding the instrument itself, and so I'll continue to do so. I have started with a recording called Radio Healer. And this is an image of the album and the CD. It's a flute improvisation movement with computer tone generated sounds. It was an independent recording with longtime friend and an artist and musician, Cristobal Martinez. It was the first time I was brave enough to do a recording because I didn't think I was even at a point to do anything such as this, to put a recording down on a CD to be lasting forever and ever. But I did. And you can actually hear the CD if you go to www.radiohealer.com. It is about, this is the concept of the CD and music is about a cybernetic medicine man in the distant future who heals through radio frequencies. No words to this CD, it's just flute and computer. And it's about 40 to 50 minutes in length. It's actually 2 parts of music that are roughly around 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. But it's a good listen. It's really a nice piece of music early on. And in 2007, I recorded my second CD, Artificial Red, with my daughter Rykelle as a guest artist reading a poem entitled Artificial Red. I played double chamber flutes and single chamber flutes on the CD. The poem that she read, it's a short poem, and I'll read that to you right now, just to give you an idea, because it's the only poem on the CD, but it's packed full of things that we understand as our indigenous culture. So here we go. Artificial Red. Flowers bloom where teepees once stood. Sediments merge with mountaintops. My body is recyclable. My spirit is not. Artificial intelligence, artificial love, machine ready, rechargeable batteries. My identity is made by foreign countries. Hollywood has documented my culture. Rain dance for me, chief. When I sit, I always sit Indian style. I drive a Cherokee. I ride an Indian. I watch Apaches fly overhead. Mascots mock me. Show me proof of tribal enrollment, full blood. Sugar, the new firewater. Hey chief, how about a light? Worn out headdresses, old peace pipes wanted for hire. Bring back the ghost dance. Indian fry bread 4 miles ahead. Exit here for pictures with real Indians. Paint it with artificial red. No one is looking. Burn me a copy of me. Artificial red, artificial red, artificial red. And that poem was done by Rykelle when she was reading it on the CD, and we did really well with that reading. The poem was actually nominated for Best Spoken Word by the Native American Music Award, and we did really great. We celebrated that because we were just trying to put down recordings that didn't realize how far it would go or who would listen to it, and so on. So we kind of invested a lot into the CD. We did a lot of artwork. As you can see, this is the pullout inside the CD itself. It has some of my artwork, some of the designs that I've done up to that point. And then we did the CD design and the cover design. And it was recorded at the Canyon Records, but it wasn't under Canyon Records. It was just recorded there. I just used their equipment and facilities. And so it was really nice to do that. I think Bill Miller was the engineer at the time. So he did a great work with Canyon Records. Okay, so let's go on. In 2017, I recorded a third album, Res Radio, with a collective group called Artificial Red, this CD actually was nominated Best Instrumental Album, both Native American Music Award in New York and the Indigenous Music Awards in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. That was great. We went up to Canada to celebrate the CD and nomination. We did such a great job on the CD. It was just a pleasure to work with many of the artists. The album actually featured many guest artists such as Sam Anderson, who was a vocal, Juliana Begay Krupa, who's a vocal, and Dean Yazzie, acoustic guitar. And since then, I worked with and performed with other musicians in the following years, Wayne Parkhorse, Ryan McFadden, Mackenzie Laurie, and others. So this was a great CD to be a part of, and we did all the artwork and the knowledge-based information inside and the CD. So it was a great independent recording once again. Okay, and now my newest project under the Artificial Red banner is a collaboration with musician Philip MP, a Spanish guitar player, and I'm playing the wooden sticks in the style of call and response. There were a few circulating videos on Facebook and Instagram, if you want to check those out. And it talks about our latest direction, what we're playing, and it feels really, really good. I mean, this is amazing music that just feels good to listen to it. You know, while we're playing it, we're having fun. It's just a magical sort of time and space that we're in. We plan to produce a recording sometimes this year, and we're going to entitle it Raven Speaks. And this image that you see is the cover artwork for that CD. We're very excited about this. And as a musician, I'm 61 years old and looking forward to more music as we go along. And I really appreciate all of that. So, all right. I think I want to talk about the museum art exhibit now. And this is down in Dragoon, Arizona at the Amerind Museum. So you get a chance to get out there. It's a fantastic location. It's a majestic setting against Arizona's southern border, mountain landscapes. I can't get enough of that place. It's just magical, just even being there. The exhibit is called Transformation, Spirituality, and Humor. I chose to exhibit a series of paintings, mixed media, found objects, and printmaking processes, a sort of retrospect to the present. Some pieces cover the theme of transformation, depicting a partly human and raven bird emergence. These pieces are falling on a series entitled When Raven Becomes a Man. This is connected to mythology or folklore stories in the lines of trickster and dear woman and little people from our Native American culture storytelling, which I won't go into the explanation of those stories out of respect and knowledge for those stories, but I will tell you about the symbolic notion behind Raven's transformation works. So when I began the series of this painting, and by the way, let me give you the specs on this painting. This was done in 2018. The dimensions are like 48 inches high, 36 inches wide. Materials is acrylic on canvas, and I used brushes and transitions and some soda pop lids. And so what was happening behind the scenes when my son was small and I was doing artwork and, you know, explaining some things about how he was doing and how he was being growing up and going through school and a lot of the process of growing up. So I kind of thought about the series in the understanding of thinking about him and believing that this series would help me understand what we're all going through. And it just meant that I was raising a raven, because his name is Raven, Rykelle Kemp. And this is a raven. When Raven becomes a man, what is he going to become? What sort of things is he going to be into in his life? And that's what the whole sort of symbology was behind this series that I made. And there are other paintings that are associated with this theme that have gone on and I passed through and done. But these are ones that I have images and that are in the exhibition itself. So here's another one, sort of the raven on the human, pseudo-human, with the raven head on the shoulders. And then there's this big red raven down below. Sometimes I think of these images as well as passing knowledge down to younger people. So the bigger raven in this painting is discussing and talking about knowledge that is useful in navigating through life. And he's passing these things down, and some stories, some of his knowledge and experiences that he has. So he's talking to these ravens that are on his shoulders. So this is actually a acrylic on canvas, a lot of texture in this. And I've also put some sort of pop lids as orbs, or like spiritual orbs, in the background. And that's a lot of fun, kind of mixed media piece and so on. And then I have down below the raven with the rain coming down over the body of the raven. So even though they're in different colors, that's how I reveal that rain coming down in different colors of our spectrum. So this is also a let's see, this was done in 2019, also 48 by 36 acrylic on canvas, and it's been a great piece for that as well. I'm cheating, I'm using my notes as I'm reading and looking through this, so bear with me. So let's see, we are at spirituality. So spirituality works to promote the human behavior of prayer in life and of death, the belief of something greater, the creator, or what lies in the afterlife in the spiritual realms. These works explore the art disciplines in printmaking to capture the strength of the message. And this piece is entitled Spiritual Warrior. And it's a serigraph, limited edition. It's 18 by 23. And I printed this. It was hand pulled at Self-Help Graphics in the studio in Los Angeles, California. And this actually was an interesting piece to me, because I was on the phone one day talking to my mom back in Oklahoma. I was here in Arizona, and she was telling me that someone in the family had passed away. And immediately in my mind, I began to imagine what this person was like in the afterlife or the next life and so on. And I, because of this person that I knew in a way of a prayer person who seek the prayers for his people. And so this was an image that came right to my mind, and I did a drawing as fast as I could to capture that. And what we have is a figure that has no hands, no need for that, has wings, has the background has, those are red lines of tears. There's round orbs, spiritual orbs. His bonnet has a halo effect to it. Down below are his four icons that he draws upon for power and direction and help for counseling. So this is who I kind of imagine this person became after he passed on. And it was such a powerful kind of reveal to me that I think it was probably within 2 weeks I had this printed out. I didn't have any images in mind when I went to this workshop in California, but as soon as that phone call happened, I thank my mom for that. And she has an image of this as well in her home. And it's a great piece. And yeah, you should see this in person. It really has a really vibrant color to that transition in the background. And so the second piece I have is Red Warrior. This is a mixed media. It's silk screen or serigraph printing of the red image, and then mono type printing using a press in the background of all the line work. So the combination of them, there's this transparency that happens. So the imagery comes through and then pushes back at the same time. And this was such an amazing piece to work upon. I did it over at a friend's house who's also another key printmaker, amazing guy at Wardboard Press. And it's a monotype print that we did there at the studio. So I was really happy about this image. And it created a lot of interesting lines and textures for me. And I was really pleased with the way it came out. And the artist over there was Jacob Meters, who was a good friend of mine, who has a studio and a press in his studio. And we always go there to work on some pieces. And some of the greatest works that I've done to this point has come out of that studio. So I really appreciate him and his hands-on. Okay, and then finally, this is the humor part of the exhibition. The indigenous people's disposition has always advocated for humor, a way of healing, fostering good living, or a state of mind. The image with imagine with all the history of difficult hurdles we have endured, while continuing to change the narrative of competing perspectives and historical accounts. This is strength and power. And this is what we have on our side, is the humor. So this piece here that I'm showing is a pen and ink on a white envelope. And I have done probably about 50 to 100 of these images that I would travel on a light rail from Tempe to Phoenix. Was about a 45-minute ride, and I would draw on these envelopes all these images, just doing my time practicing and so on. And then I would write on it, free light rail art, and I would leave it on my seat as I got off the light rail so that anyone could have it. So there was a variety of images that I had done over the time period of working at ASU and writing the light rail. Well, this one in particular was interesting to me. So, I only had a photograph of it, and this was the photograph, but I also wanted to do an art piece of it as well. So here is that painting, and it is really plain as far as the color schemes and the line work, but it doesn't need much. I mean, it has what I call the impact of the color pink, and this is about this is entitled "Big Rabbit" with a W, Big Wabbit Hunter. It's 48 by 36 inches in dimensions. It's acrylic on canvas. It's just a fun piece. I've had this in my home, and it just brings a lot of joy to see this. And on mornings where what is my day like, and I can see and imagine this young warrior going out for a hunt, and this is what he brings back. This is his first kill in a sense, and just the humor in the face of that little toy says it all. I can just imagine what he's going to and what people think of him when he brought this back into the tribe. So that was great. That was good. So the humor part of the exhibition, is me trying to convey some of these ideas to a broader audience about how humor works in our culture. But then I have other pieces in the exhibition that don't have anything to do with, in a sense, Native culture. So, oh, there's me again. I'm sorry. That was me imitating art. So, yeah. I don't know where I was at, but I found a rabbit that just looked just like the painting. So, anyway. So here is some artwork that is based off the imagery of Frankenstein. If you can imagine Frankenstein as being anyone he wanted to be, and that meant because he was made up of different people, and I can imagine that how he might have thought of himself. So he went with it. He changed his outlook. He not only was the monster, he was also the art collector. And this is him with his vest and bolo tie and a cigarette. And I'm assuming he was at probably the Indian markets buying artwork, and he's a collector. So that was his persona at that time. So I created a piece called this Frankenstein, the Art Collector. And this one was Frankenstein kissed Gene Simmons, an imagery of him. And it's just the basis of the imagery is Frankenstein. He's underneath there, but this is his showmanship. This is who he thought maybe he could be. The actual art pieces are 8 by 8 inches. They're mixed media pieces, acrylic paint, and sometimes there's nails in there, and markers. I'm using markers and other mark making tools, pencils, and so on. But here's him being an image of the kiss symbol. And here we are again. This is Frankenstein as Salvador Dali. And he looks pretty dapper. I mean, he's pretty, he pulls it off pretty well. So you can see that he's got a suit and tie. And it's just funny to me that he could be anyone he wants to be. All he has to do is make up his mind and figure that out. I mean, it's basically you and I can sort of think of upon those lines too, that we can be anyone we want to be. We just have to put on the persona, I guess. But anyway, here he is. I mean, there's a lot of texture going on in here. There's a few buttons on the side that are nails, and I just had a lot of fun doing a lot of this. So, so the process is I'm using a photo transfer, and I'm using a medium that helps me transfer the image, and then I paint on top of that. And before I transfer the image, though, I have a background of painting and design, so I don't even know what's going to go on these pieces. I don't really choose and decide about the image that's going to go on top of it. I just do it and kind of react to that when I'm done. So wow, that was it. Oh, here's one more. I forgot. I really like the way this came out, and this was, of course, Frankenstein being David Bowie of all people, and he has a thing for music apparently. And there he was. There he is in the iconic makeup. His hair was redone, and he's Frankenstein underneath. But his aspirations about music, says that I can sing, and I don't know how Frankenstein sings or sounds, but I imagine it's probably nothing like David Bowie, but more like grunts. Ooh, fire, it's a nice series and base images to draw upon. I mean, the limit, it's limitless, and I've got probably 10 of these in the exhibition that also deals with other imagery and pieces of Frankenstein that we are still learning. I don't think I'm going to finish these series anytime soon because there's so many to have. I'm going to continue those, and we'll see if that's an exhibition all by itself. So I think this is my last slide, and I hope that the art pieces that I've conveyed, the stories that interest of the transformation, spirituality, and humor. And I hope that you get a chance to come or go down to the Amerind Museum just to visit the museum itself, which is a fantastic place, but also go in and see the historical museum aspects and other exhibitions that are happening there. And I really, really appreciate the Amerind Museum people and folks that are there that helped me with this exhibition. And thanks for asking me to do so. I think the exhibition will be up until the month of May 2023. Here is some additional information. My email address is randykemp.artist@gmail.com. My website is indigenousartmachine.com. The Instagram is randykemp.artist. And so I think I'm through most of what I want to talk about, and I appreciate your time. And if there are any questions at this point, I think I'll hand it back over to you folks and see if we can generate some questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Randy. And I want to remind our audience that we do send out an email to everybody who's registered for the Zoom program today. And that email will be links to how you can get the CDs that Randy's talked about today and the various social media accounts that he spoke about today. And I also remind you when you come to see the exhibit that Randy has put several of his pieces on sale. So if you would like to take a Randy Kemp artwork home for you or for someone you know in your life, they are available here. Donna also wants to ask, are your prints available for sale online?
Yeah, there are some prints that are online. I think most of the things that I do have in an exhibit and also online are original pieces. So there's not many just prints by themselves because I only deal with a lot of original pieces and I only have one-of-a-kind pieces. But we'll see what we can do in that case. So thank you so much for that.
Keith Wood noted that there are a lot of turtles in your work. What is the importance of turtles to you?
Turtles, my Euchee tribe in Oklahoma, my clan is Turtle Clan. So that is an imagery that I use a lot just to continue the understanding of what the Turtle Clan represents and so on. In a lot of the facets that I paint and draw turtles, that's what I'm using and drawing from is my tribal knowledge for that. So yeah.
I always find it fascinating when we have a visual artist and a musical artist in the same person. Can you talk a little bit about how those different callings developed in your life and how did they develop at the same time? Did they develop separately? Do they feed each other?
Yeah. Oh, good question. Well, let's see, probably 1989, I was in a studio in Phoenix, and I was a painter printmaker already, and I had been studying art, and I've got my degree from ASU as a printmaker and painter. But I had a studio there, and outside the studio was a flute maker. And I would come into my studio and just sit in front of my paintings, trying to figure out what to do. What can I do today, and what can I create? And so I had this kind of block there. And so I decided to walk outside into the flute guy's studio, and I asked, "Hey, Jonah, I want to learn how to play the flute." And without him looking up, he says, "Well, just choose a flute, put your fingers over the holes, blow into it, good luck." And oh, that's all there is to it. And so I went back into the studio, my studio, and I began to practice and just try to figure that out. But it gave me a kind of bridge of creativity from music and flutes to the painting and printmaking. It was pretty much seamless at some points where I would practice playing and go right into my painting. It just so happens that it became something more developed as I went through. I mean, 30 years of practicing. Now it's just a part. It's synonymous of each other. It's just amazing sort of instruments, painting as an instrument, music as an instrument, and they are just kind of flying together. So yeah, I think of music when I'm painting, and I think of painting when I'm playing music. So that's how things worked out, and I'm grateful for it. Good question.
Anne was admiring your Raven t-shirt and wanted to know if that's available for purchase somewhere.
Oh, it's a one of a kind. Again, yeah, we're thinking about producing these Raven t-shirts. So we'll give it a thought, and we'll see if that comes to as a project that we can do. So, but yeah, I've been getting a lot of comments about that. But it's one of a kind. It's yeah, I can't even loan the t-shirt out. So it's yeah. Well, thank you for that. Yeah.
A question about the using the Frankenstein monster in your art. Were you particularly captivated by the novel, or what draws you to that as a metaphor?
It's the idea that Frankenstein can be anyone, because if I remember the movie correctly, and the underlining storyline is that he's made up of different components of people, and so all these different components of human parts are from who knows, and that's sort of the basis of the ideal that, well, maybe his hand was from a violinist, or he had other aspirations and character that it all absorbed into his being. And so not only was he a monster of creation, he was living what he was. I mean, he became everyone. He's a little bit of all of us in that sense. And that's why I was drawn to this idea that Frankenstein, he could be anybody, and all he needed was just a little bit of makeup, maybe, or or just an understanding. I mean, he probably had even philosophy if we would listen to him long enough. I mean, without being scared, I guess, in a sense. So that's really why I draw from him that character, and it's something that I'm going to continue and maybe come up with some other imagery as well for them. So yeah, thank you. Good question.
A question about your music from some of our listeners. How do you, in your original compositions, do you develop them over time? Do they come to you sort of as a whole idea? Does your music draw its inspiration from other musical sources?
Yes, good question. They are really kind of spontaneous in lots of ways. I call my form of flute playing kind of an expressive flute playing because it's a call and response, and it's a response to whatever instrument I'm listening to, or poem, or reading, or artwork that I'm viewing. So it's a kind of response to that. So I imagine how colors and words and music relates to me, and I play that through the flute. And so I don't, like I said, I don't know how to read or write music, so I can't write these notes down for the song. So I have to memorize everything. I mean, I memorized probably on some of those CDs, 14 songs that I just knew about the melody and where we were going with the song. And so it was created that way. It's a very interesting way of doing that and creating music. So you're really boundless in that way. You're free from any parameters of music in that way. And I'm probably breaking a lot of rules that way, but that's okay. I mean, I don't propose that I know everything about a flute, because I'm basically practicing and learning every day. So yeah, I think that's really the basis of how I play, and it's worked out so far, and I really enjoy it. I mean, the base thing about playing is that you enjoy it. You have to enjoy doing it first before others. So I appreciate that. Thanks. Good question.
Jacqueline asks, there are many Muscogee families in the East Valley. Are you aware of these familial influences with your art and background in the area?
Wow. We'll have to stay in touch, because I haven't met many Muscogees, but I do know a handful of in our community that are here in Arizona. In fact, the only other, when I first got here to Arizona, which was back in 1984, I called my mom. My mom's a resource for a lot of things, and not only for life, but she tells me that I had a relative out here in Arizona, and I should go look her up. And back then, we didn't have phones to direct us. I had to go to a yellow page and white page directory to find these folks that I knew. And so I found the name, and I went looking for the person. I think that was bad, but I just went ahead and did it anyway to surprise him, I guess. And I found out that I went to the Phoenix Indian Center, and I said my name. My name is Randy Kemp. I'm here to see so-and-so. And she goes, just a minute. We'll let you see her in a minute. And I didn't realize that the person I was looking for was the director of the Phoenix Indian Center, Phyllis Big Pond. And I surprised her, kind of went busting through the doors and said, "Hi, I'm your cousin Randy from Oklahoma." And that was the way I kind of, managed my family network back then. But since then, I'm assuming there's a lot more Muscogee people that I haven't met, and I would love to meet them all out here. And we get a hold of me so we can kind of come together. And thank you for all of that. And we'll talk some more about that.
I'll just remind our audience again that when we send out the link, Randy had shared an email address, so you can get in touch with them and connect that way after this talk. Keith asks, in one of the Raven pieces, you used a buffalo nickel or an image of one for the eye of the Raven. Can you share your insights into that decision?
Yeah, I often in my past paintings use found objects, and whether they're buttons or coins or soda pop lids, things like that. And the buffalo nickel was actually the right size for the eye, and I thought that would be appropriate. And it has more symbology in that, of course, being Indian head nickel. But I thought it was profound to have something like that within paintings. And I utilize most of that in a lot of things that I do. And so I do find a lot of found objects of art, and I incorporate them into my pieces. And I can maybe some point at somewhere I'll have an exhibition that has to do with just that, found objects, because I have a lot of pieces that aren't really for Indian markets, that are judgmental or judged for categories, but they're just, found objects and art in its own place. And so maybe sometime I'll find a way to do an exhibition of that, because I have a lot of pieces that are just found art and may not have to do with indigenous art in a sense, but everything is tied together. I know that everything that I try to do has the underlining storylines of indigenous culture. So good question, thanks.
Jay asked, do you feel influenced by T.C. Cannon?
Wow. I looked around the room. Exactly. This little piece back here is actually a T.C. Cannon poster from the Heard Museum. So yeah, I think he reminds me of what the possibilities are. And I just really fell in love with his color designs and just executions of the paintings and the abstractions. Just incredible pieces. He did a lot of printmaking as well, and I've seen some originals. They're just amazing woodblock prints, and yeah, he's just a pillar of one of those artists that we have to look up to, in the sense that we draw from and inspire to. So yeah.
Question from an artist who's a parent. This person notes that their artwork changed quite profoundly after they had their first children. Did you notice anything similar when your children came into the world?
In me or my children?
In your art.
Oh,
Is what they're getting at?
well, me and my kids have been around art as far as, I raised them up into this, and my daughter and my son. My daughter does jewelry, and she's exploded in that kind of field. And so I draw from her now, and she, certainly draws from what we've learned together. My son, who had gone to the San Francisco Art Institute, was an art major and technology major. So I draw from him now as much as he drew from me, from what I taught. And so we have a studio that we're able to go in there and just try things out. And sometimes it's more about newer technology that they're bringing to the table than what I brought in my learning of art in my days. I did a lot of hands-on things in my art. So now it's kind of the fusion of technology and hands-on and all of those practical uses of things. So there's no limits to that as well, and I don't limit them for what they want to create. And I'm inspired by them as much as they have been inspired by me, in a sense. So I'm proud.
With good reason. I've seen their art. So there's a question from someone who took your printmaking class. What initially drew you to printmaking as an art form? What do you find satisfying about it?
Well, printmaking to me, the process of mono silk screening, and I think that was the workshop that I did there at the Amerind Museum, was a mono silk screen, which means that you take a screen. It's much like for t-shirt printing, that image, but the screens that we had were open, and there was no preset designs, and we painted directly on the screen, And that was printed with a squeegee with basic acrylic paints and printed right onto paper. That instant about when you remove the screen to reveal the image is the most satisfying and most in the moment of reviewing the image right then and there. As an artist, I get to see what I've done immediately. It's an immediate gratification of the piece. Sometimes when I do workshops and folks are printing their image, they get stunned by their own imagery and they look at the image. But, you know, at that time I go, you got to go clean your screen out. You can admire the piece later because what you did was a one-of-a-kind piece that can't be reproduced. So that's probably the most satisfying thing about printmaking for me. And I've done other printmaking process, wood, intaglio, monotype prints, and so on. They all have their own gratifications for them, but I think mono silkscreen has been the most satisfying to date.
What do you see as your next big project, either musically or in your visual arts?
Well, I think it's going to be music. Musically, I'm kind of putting a lot of energy into getting our sound out there. If you get a chance, yeah, again, go to the Facebook and Instagram sites and review some of those. Those are, you can hear how we're developing even at that time, because we've only been playing for about me and Philip have been playing for about 5 months or so. So you can see kind of the roughness in the music. So when we begin to refine this, it's more about reading each other and playing more and expressing that. So I think this is where my energy is going right now. I do have a couple of other art exhibits coming up, so I have to kind of concentrate on the art when that happens. I haven't got the ideal yet. You know, that hasn't happened. I guess I have to play a little bit more before it's revealed to me, and then I'll start painting. But the energy is going to be probably in my next recording. And again, I think it's going to be called When Raven Speaks. And that's where the direction is going to happen.
So there was a question about where you're going to be exhibiting next, after or during or contemporaneous with the Amerind exhibit.
That's a good question. I think I have just arts markets to be a part of next. I don't know if I can list those. I don't. It's generally it's knowledge-based stuff that, you know, like the Herd, the Santa Fe shows, the markets, the Muscogee-Creek exhibit back in Oklahoma. Idle George, let's see, Litchfield Park is nearby. So those are probably the art places I'm going to be. And in between that is where music happens. In between that is where the exhibitions will happen. So, yeah.
Are there any other questions that we can take from our audience today? I think you've done a yeoman's job of answering the questions from our audience, Randy. I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and talent with us. I want to remind everybody that Randy's exhibit is up through Mother's Day, May 2023, here at the Amerind, and that, as I mentioned before, many of his pieces are for sale. Maggie and Annie will be sending a follow-up email to everybody who registered for this Zoom program. It will contain a link to a YouTube video of today's talk, as well as the links to Randy's various social media channels, as well as information about how you can get your hands on his music CDs. Randy, thank you so much. My best to you and your family. Thank you for all that you do.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure. It was all mine.
Thanks all of you for joining us today. I hope you are well and happy and enjoying a wonderful new year. Take care.
Thanks.